Hi, I'm Lizzie Weber. I'm a singer, songwriter, producer, and composer. And thank you so much for listening.
Part of why I love doing this is because I love producing. Probably being in the studio is my favorite environment because that's where you get to make the painting.
You're listening to Songs Out Loud from St. Louis, Missouri. I'm Aaron North. The big one is a reflection about fear of that which cannot be known. There's a story about an earthquake. There's invented open tunings and open hearts crying in bed at night in the woods of a military base. There's a multitude of studio musicians, artful scoring and arranging, and a smart, eager protagonist ready to face her fears. This song, along with a few others on Lizzie Weber's new album Fidalgo, goes super cinematic with the folk rock. For this episode, Lizzie provided the demo she and her guitarist used as the foundation of the song, plus 10 isolated instrument and vocal groups from recording and mixing engineer Sheldon Gomberg, executive producer. Season 3 of Songs Out Loud episodes are taped in front of a live audience. For this one, we gathered in the upstairs lounge of the Royale Food and Spirits. Weaving isolated instrument and vocal tracks in and out of personal narratives, Songs Out Loud breaks it down, instrument by instrument, lyric by lyric, and beat by beat.
Record, there's a lot of production. It's really, I wanted it to kind of be, I'm a 90s girl, I grew up listening to Alanis and Jewel and Fiona Apple and just these amazing women that were omnipresent on 90s radio. It's a real singer-songwriter opus. It's got that sound, it's really natural, but it's got some killer production on it.
So Bill Panks is a dear friend of mine and responsible for the arrangements that you hear on the record. And so when we were workshopping the song back and forth, because it was still 2020, and I sent him the acoustic guitar demo that I believe I shared with you. We used that, and I shared that with him, and he would just begin working out arrangements in Finale and sending me different ideas. And there were moments when I would say, I don't know about this, but I love this. Yeah. He would use his violin to record the viola and the cello part. And just in Finale, what you can do is you can just move that down an octave, right?
She's talking about his use of a program called Finale, which can transcribe what you play live onto any clef you want, a tool that brings melodies to paper very immediately.
Yeah, so he was able to create all of the arrangements, using he's an incredible violinist and arranger. So we were workshopping the song. We talked about how we wanted to layer the song, and especially in the introduction, how we wanted the strings to enter, which was to build that tension. And it's a song about fear. It's alluding to the idea of living in fear. Let's show the listener or imply to the listener a little bit of what that tension feels like.
Different lyrics, and then I had moved to Anacortes, and after spending some time there, I wasn't connecting to the lyrics that I had written to go with it. And so I had some of the melodic ideas shaped, but ultimately when I was getting ready to move out there, I attended a mass with my parents and was speaking with the priest afterwards, and the priest told me, "Oh, there's a big earthquake coming, you better get a boat." And of course, the tsunami, the aftermath, I was like, "Thank you, Father. This is a little bit of a weird thing to say to somebody. I'm really excited to move to the Northwest, and you're telling me that a major natural disaster is going to come my way." So that whole conversation is what initially inspired this idea of questioning naivete and living in fear and self-reflection, and who do we spend our time with? And how do we spend our time with ourselves?
Yeah, I think it's a 3-part harmony, and I just ended up doubling the vocal to create more depth, to make it feel like a chorus, kind of like a Fleetwood Mac section of the song, where it's just like really big and a lot of reverb and a lot of layers. So a lot of the auxiliary tracks were actually done remotely by a musician and composer named Rob Berger, who is based out of Nashville, who is, plays everything from keyboard and a little bit of organ and ebow to hurdy-gurdy and dulcitone. I sent Rob the tracks and I just said, go. It was truly out of his own brilliant mind, and I had so much faith in him that I trusted whatever he would send would be beautiful.
This tuning in particular, I was either tuning up or tuning down on my way to an open D. And I was tuning my G string, and I just put it into F for briefly, and then tuned my B string into a C and left my E string in D. And it sort of created this open D minor. It's not maybe an open tuning that musicians return to or talk about, because it's made up. It's extremely rainy, it's extremely gloomy, 9 months of the year in the Pacific Northwest, and so there's a lot of inside time, and I, for the most part, as much time as I could, had my guitar or was sitting in front of my keyboard just writing. I write songs in standard tuning, but because I was really overwhelmed by bar chords at the beginning. It was really hard, right? You're like, oh, that takes so much wrist power to not have any fuzz. And so for me, that helped me navigate getting comfortable on the guitar. Joni was the queen of that. She had nerve issues in her fingers, and that's why she predominantly played in open tunings, and she was somebody that I was listening to nonstop when I was first learning guitar. So It first started with me and Ben, the electric guitarist, Ben Meyer. I think I initially had a song that was formed with this chord structure. Like I'm living in a bubble, does it show? I do.
In case you missed that tasty guitar line, here it is again.
You know, one of the things that Ben really thrives at is creating interesting arpeggio.
To arpeggiate something, you play notes one at a time. And she's saying she likes the way that he's embellishing and decorating the chord progression. And I do too.
And so we kept that from demo to record. So it was really what I thought about it was that I loved it at the time, and I think we just kept it.
And here's one thing they decided to do without. Listen to the little descending guitar line behind the words, depend on someone else. It didn't make it to the final album version. Here's the demo version, then the album one.
I can depend on someone else to survive. I can't depend on someone else to survive.
Yeah. Oh man. I remember working on that with Ben, and there were some moments where we would come up with a counter melody and it would just detract from the vocal, and the element of storytelling is so important in my songwriting, that always that should always take the lead. And then all of a sudden you have 10 musicians that are now playing on the track, and you're balancing all of those things, right? Eventually you have to give way to something else, and so that's what happened with that part. But it's fun to go back and hear that. That's what's cool about, I guess, seeing the transformation from demo to studio. And he was using a little bit of delay, a little bit of vibrato that you can hear there on the isolated track. That's sort of, again, leaning into the production aspect of creating sort of a eerie, tense world of, almost like a little spooky, apocalyptic end of the world vibes, right?
They say the big one's coming, and I know I mustn't become satisfied to live like I don't know. So drink like a fish to drown.
I just think it's so funny when some artists are like, I gotta go out and I gotta have a cig and some whiskey, and you're like, that's not going to help your voice. I appreciate it, but I mean, maybe if you're sick, a little toddy or something like that, okay. But yeah, I drink a lot of throat coat with honey and lemon, which has the licorice root and coats your vocal cords.
So that worked.
Yeah, and also a lot of preparation leading up to the recording process, because it's 5 days of tracking vocals. By the end of tracking vocals for this record, my voice was so tired. It's really exhausting work. You're like an athlete. It's like you have to be an athlete with your vocal cords in a way, and preparing them for all the work that they're about to go do.
And I know I mustn't become satisfied to live like I don't know.
And as far as, tracking the vocal on this, there was definitely a lot of feedback from Sheldon, Sheldon Gomberg, who mixed the record and is my executive producer, and feedback in real time. Like, it's all so subjective as to how the audience is going to connect. Are they going to focus on the lyrics more when they don't have all that production? in their headphones. That's why I feel like you see nowadays, I'm going into maybe a little bit of a tangent here, but you'll see people, artists, promoting their music online on social media and just sharing the vocal, right? And you're not hearing the production at all because you're trying to share an element of the song that the listener is not going to be stimulated by anything else but simply that vocal take, right? So I think there's a fascinating way to just think about how we get that song to connect, and it's obviously going to connect to people in different ways.
I can't keep turning tables out of spite. I can't be bitter in my bed every night. Lately, you think you know. Do you realize you cannot be alone? Do you realize you cannot be alone?
And now the entire album recording of The Big One by Lizzie Weber.
Lately, I've been feeling like I'm living in a bubble. Does it show? I do love the West. I've become much more curious. Still, I'm somehow disillusioned like before. Drink like a fish to drown out the others. Keep that up, you're dead in the water. I can't depend on someone else to survive. But all I've got is the right side of my mind. I came down from a high end. I caught myself inside alone. They say the big one's coming, and I know I mustn't become satisfied to live like I don't know. So drink like a fish to drown out the others. Keep that up, you're dead in the water. I can't depend on someone else to survive. But all I've got is the right side of my mind.
Songs Out Loud is produced, engineered, and mixed by me, Aaron Dorr. But I got the idea to do this from my favorite songs deconstruction podcast called Song Exploder at Radiotopia through PRX. It's hosted by Rishikesh Hirway, and you should definitely be subscribed there too. Anyway, the artists you hear on Songs Out Loud agree. Your digital music and merchandise purchases from their websites or places like Bandcamp are among the best ways you can support them. And if you love a good Linktree, hers is Lizzie Webb's.
If you look up Lizzie Weber, you can follow me to ensure that you will get this record right in your library when it comes out on June 9th.
I guess this will be after the record comes out, though.
It will be. You can, or maybe I should.
Wait,
how about I say?
Permission to leak?
No permission to leak. Oh my god. Okay, so Aaron, you're so I love it. You're excited. No, I need people like you in my life. Okay, so
I'm glad to have you here, and maybe I'll see you at the next taping. This has been a Songs Out Loud production.